Hi, I'm Jason Arp. I'm the City Councilman for the 4th District of Fort Wayne. Today I want to talk about business personal property tax with you. A couple of years ago, I introduced an ordinance that would adjust our tax structure. We go through what we call the COIT Council, is the County Option Income Tax Council. The state basically designate who's going to control the income tax and other tax matters in the state. And for Allen County, it's the City Council of City of Fort Wayne. So what my ordinance would have done, or a resolution would have done, is basically provide an exemption for all new investments in business equipment, which we call business personal property. So currently, if you buy a lathe or a CNC equipment or some sort of any kind of business equipment, you pay business personal property tax. And in Allen County, that's about 3.3%. We're going to do some examples. We'll just use 3% because it's a nice round number. So let's say that you were to buy a piece of equipment. That's $100. And then, so the first year, let's say it's assessed at $100. So you may have paid more, you may have paid less. It's just, this is what it's assessed at. And at 3%, you're looking at $3. Now, we're going to then think about this as far as like a large manufacturer, somebody like GM or somebody like that. The size of their equipment, their balance sheet, their in dollar terms, is roughly about the same as an annual year's sales, 1 year sales. So instead of $100, think of that as being $100 million or some larger number. And if the sales are equal to the balance sheet amount, and you'll say your profit margin is 10%, which in manufacturing, if you're getting a 10% profit margin on sales, that's actually really good. 10% profit margin. Then you're looking at $10 of profit. If you paid $3 of tax on it, that is the equivalent of a 30% tax rate on the equipment. So, and you're also going to pay other taxes and stuff on this. So by doing away with this tax, would be a substantial boon to business investment in the city of Fort Wayne and in Allen County in general. Currently, we do a lot of abatements. In fact, if you took the aggregate of all the abatements that we do, plus the aggregate of the tax increment financing that we do for economic development activity, those things add up to about the same amount as what the total of business personal property tax is. And so part of the way that this would work, by exempting new equipment, then it would take time for old equipment to be replaced. And so that tax would take a number of years to roll off the books. And if we did that and simultaneously put a pin in the ground today and said, hey, we're not going to do any more tax abatements, well, then those will roll off more or less over the same schedule, somewhere between 10 to 15 years for the business personal property tax, somewhere between 7 to 10 years for all the abatements to roll off. And the TIF financings, some of those newer ones might still have 20, 25 years left on them. But in aggregate, we're still looking at, okay, this is going to take 10 to 15 years for all these things to occur. But at the end of the day, that takes us out of the business of giving away tax abatements. The problem with tax abatements is we're saying that this guy gets to pay no taxes in his first year, whereas everybody else is still paying taxes. Or this guy is going to get the city of Fort Wayne to help pay for his business through tax increment financing. And it puts council members in the position of deciding who gets what, as opposed to just having one set of taxes, one set of rules that apply to everybody. And then that way, council is not in the business of picking and choosing winners and losers and having to decide whether somebody's compliant or not compliant. In fact, right now, we have a whole backlog of abatements that we have to determine whether or not these people are in compliance. When we give a tax abatement, we put all these stipulations in there. We'll ask, well, how many employees are you going to hire with this tax abatement we're going to give you? What kind of wages are they going to get? And we'll look to see whether or not they're compliant with those things. So if the economy turns down, we could possibly take their tax abatement back from them at the worst possible time for them. So they weren't able to hire all the people they needed. They may be struggling just to keep the people that are on hand working. And yet that's the exact time in which we would take away their abatement. They'd have to pay taxes on the equipment, probably have to let more people go. So instead of having that whole silly process, by just simply getting rid of this tax, by exempting it for all new businesses or new investment in business, then that does away with that whole business personal the whole tax abatement business. Two additional things about this. One, most of the large investments in business personal property tax, we already abate for large, big companies. Like, for instance, General Motors has what we call super abatement, which means that they're never going to have to pay taxes on their $1 billion investment that they did. Whereas, if you have a small CNC shop and you didn't get then you're going to pay a lot more taxes, probably a substantial amount. The other thing is, for real property, most of the real property abatements do not attract new people or new businesses or new employees to the city of Fort Wayne. Most of these are just facilitating moving from one office to another office, or one building to another building, or upgrades in a building that are not going to add anything to the economy, but it is very good for real estate developers to offer nice new spaces to people. So we're basically subsidizing real estate speculation through our abatements in real property. So we could simultaneously get rid of the future abatements. So we just have to wind down kind of the book that we have right now. So hopefully I didn't confuse things more for you. We can go back and readdress this later with a little more graphics and some numbers. But I did want to put this out there because this is something we're going to be talking about sometime in the next few months. Hopefully get it passed through this summer. Thank you.